Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. Hope you guys are having a great start to your day and a great weekend so far. Going to give you an update on what potentially can unfold today as far as weather. And, severe weather is going to be a big topic today, and not just today, but for tomorrow too. But we're not going to talk about tomorrow at all in this video. We're just going to focus in on today. So I'm expecting some active weather across the north central U.S. So that's what we're going to break down for you guys. We're going to talk about everybody too. But as always, when there's a main area that's the main focus for that specific day, we're going to start off with a bang with talking about that specifically. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I'll tell you guys, I'm already ready to get to fall and football and things like that, and the cooler months. I am just not a huge fan of summer. I used to say I enjoyed all the way to the 4th of July. Then you can go right to fall. But I know a lot of people are booing me right now watching this. But I'm a big fan of fall and winter and things like that. But we still got a long way to go as we're still gearing up for summer. But anyways, if you guys got anything that I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. It gives me a chance to pray for it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get going this morning. Let's take a look at the water vapor loop. What's going on? And I'll show you the GFS here in a second where I can explain it better. Is you got a trough that's kind of strung out over the western U.S. And then you got a ridge beginning to build over the eastern U.S. Excuse me. Hopefully my voice don't crack too much. And you kind of have a battleground of air masses right here as basically the trough helps to pull moisture from the south into this region, and basically got a clashing of air masses in generally speaking. So what's going to happen here is you already have an area of storms moving through Minnesota right now this morning that is helping to kind of tampen the atmosphere. But eventually the atmosphere will destabilize in this area. A cap area of stable air aloft in the upper levels of the atmosphere above our heads will break, and we will have storm development in this region right into here. So that's what we're watching today, is for the most severe weather in this area. Really no other part of the country is going to have any severe weather to really talk about. We're still getting a little bit of more dry air across the southeast, but eventually you will have that moisture return that will come back. We're getting into late May, early June, and you do not stay dry for long in areas of the deep south and southeast. But today you have that enhanced risk up for this portion of the country. This includes areas in Nebraska, southeast South Dakota, a large section of Minnesota, and a small section of Iowa. Then you got the slight risk around it. The tornado threat will not be the biggest concern today, but I do think it'll be a much bigger deal tomorrow, as basically a shortwave pulse moves through that's stronger than the one that's moving in today, and really will amp up the tornado threat for tomorrow. But today there is still a tornado threat, and this could increase to a 10% risk. So, yesterday, we were talking about a slight risk, ended up increasing to an enhanced risk, or either that was the day before. Anyways, doesn't really matter now. Today we have an enhanced risk. Could increase to a moderate risk, not sure, but we're going to watch this. 5% risk of a tornado in this brown area right here. Looks like a boomerang going across the south central U.S. And then the wind threat is the biggest deal. So you got a 30% chance of wind damage occurring in this region right here. And then you got a hatch region of more significant, severe, basically more significant, stronger wind gusts in this area. That is a 10% risk of 65 knots or greater. Just a regular 30% chance is a 30% chance to see 50 knots or higher and at 25 miles at any given point. So that hatch area is more dangerous, but is basically overlapping the same 30% region. Hail threat will be big too, especially in this region. Not as big as an area as the damaging wind threat, but what's going to happen is down here in areas of southeast South Dakota, and especially I'm watching areas of Nebraska. Watch out Omaha today, into areas of Minnesota also, in a very small area of Iowa. Supercells are going to fire up in this area very quickly. It's going to be maybe a 1, 2, maybe 3 hour period where supercells will be dominant, and then they will quickly become more linear and kind of congeal together. But when these supercells are the dominant kind of storm mode in this area, large hail is going to be an issue. And you got the hatch region overlapping parts of the 15 and 30% risk areas, meaning you also have a 10% risk to see significant hail in these areas, 2-inch of diameter or larger. So please be careful today. So what's causing this? Well, you got the blue mashing up against the red. So basically what's happening is let's see if you can see it. You see this little pulse right here, basically where these isobars are circled right into here. That is a little pulse. And these move through help to basically create forcing and helps for storm initiation. This quickly kind of ramps up the low level moisture in this area, dew points well into the 60s, even 70s in certain areas. And this helps to basically create an environment for storms. So you're going to have CAPE levels spiking in this region, storm fuel, low level energy. Not low level energy, low level moisture, dew points, the moist environment at the surface, and will create a little bit of kinematics in place, but it will be kind of displaced from all the other dynamics that are creating such a huge, large hail threat and a damaging wind threat today. But this will move through, and then tomorrow, a bigger pulse moves through for your Monday, and this is going to be much more significant, I think, tomorrow. I think tomorrow you might get a moderate risk introduced for areas of this part of the country as a big impulse of energy moves across this dipping trough and might become negatively tilted. So I think tomorrow will be borderline outbreak material. I think tomorrow could be bad. So stay tuned tonight. We'll talk about that tonight, and then we'll talk about it in the morning also. But tomorrow could be pretty bad. At the same time, you got a ridge building out east, and the warm weather's returning. So let's take a look at the latest, the latest long range, not long range, but the latest HRRR model about what could unfold today. So we'll start this off by this morning. You already got convection in Minnesota. In fact, you look at radar scope, give this a second to update, and you already got an area of showers and storms heading towards Minneapolis right now as we speak, and moving across the state this morning. Already reports of some wind damage in areas of eastern South Dakota. So this was a question in the discussion in the Storm Prediction Center of how much can the atmosphere destabilize after this area of energy moves through. And I think it will. So we'll watch this area down here a little bit later this afternoon as the atmosphere recovers. But let's take a look at what could unfold today. So moving forward, sorry for clearing my throat so much, guys. I know that's pretty loud on the mic. Going forward, we'll see how this moves through. That little piece of energy moves through. Make sure this is 1 hour intervals. We get to around lunchtime, give or take an hour, and still nothing, right? We're getting into early mid-afternoon, still nothing. Watch out for this big old storm right here in northern Minnesota. But then as we start to get later in the afternoon, really getting into the evening hours, I really think this will be kind of a late bloomer as this impulse kind of moves through later in the day. And you actually saw it well on the GFS just now. If you back this up a little bit right into here, here's that little impulse right here. And you see it's 06Z Sunday. That's basically in the middle of the night. So it really doesn't get going here across areas of the Dakotas until in the evening hours. So therefore, the forcing really doesn't advertise on the return here when you look at the HRRR model until late afternoon, late evening in some places. But it initializes this big storm in Nebraska right here in basically north central Nebraska, starting to get into northeast Nebraska. This cell right here could cause large hail, damaging winds. Steep lapse rates are going to be in place like a lot of times they always are in this area. So basically you have the temperatures dropping very quickly. The further you go up in the atmosphere, the temperature is dropping rapidly, which causes that large hail, the damaging wind threat, and promotes a tornado threat also. So with so much cooler air aloft with this trough approaching, large hail is going to be a big issue today with supercell development. And this continues. You go to the next hour, getting into 6, 7 p.m. This starts to move into areas. Notice this is well north of Omaha, thankfully, because it's a higher populated area. But it's starting to move into areas of way deep in southeastern areas of South Dakota. And that is a monster cell right here where all the states meet: Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska. Big storm that I think a lot of storm chasers will likely be on. This could produce a tornado. Watch out these storms too near Minneapolis for sure. And then we keep going in time. We're starting to get, when the sun's going down already, we're starting to get to 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And I really think this will kind of congeal into a line of storms, or just kind of a messy, congealed area of storms. And I still think large hail, and there will still be a tornado threat, basically at the tail end of this right here. But this quickly goes to a linear, kind of a sloppier mess, if you will. But there is going to be a time period, probably, I would say around dinner time, where some of these storms can be very powerful before they go to more of that linear look where they look just kind of strung out like this. But still, the severe weather threat will be ongoing even when the storms go into this kind of mode. So please be careful in this area today. It's all in response to this big time moist return. Right here, we're going through here in time. We're getting into midday. Then this afternoon, you got dew points getting close to 70, getting close all the way up into Canada. But you look at this moist environment, right where these storms will go over, dew points well into the 60s, close to 70 in these areas, that corn belt, where all that corn is in Iowa. The corn sweats and it enhances humidity in this area. That is a real thing, guys. It's incredible. I've read into it many times. But anyways, moist air into this area. You'll even notice it way back here in Wisconsin, as basically a massive moist sector stretches very far north. In response, this is mixed layer CAPE. You're going to have a ton of CAPE into this region, so I'll do a sounding around midday, late morning, for areas of far southeastern South Dakota. And I click this, and you notice as the temperature profiles, they're 83 degrees at the surface already about later this morning. Dew points are already risen into the 60s. You notice how temperatures drop rapidly all the way to about a mile up in the atmosphere. Then you get a mile and a half, maybe several thousand feet up in the atmosphere. And then you get a little bit above that 850 millibar range, and the temperatures actually go up. What causes that is an area of stable air aloft, and basically you can have a ton of surface CAPE right down here. A lot of, think of it as storm fuel. Basically fuel, storms are just ready to take advantage of all this storm energy, but it gets capped in an inversion right here, and basically updrafts basically cannot get past this capping mechanism right here, and it helps to stabilize the atmosphere. But once this erodes, there's plenty of energy up here for the storms to tap into. So when this erodes, you eventually get massive updraft explosion, and you get big time supercell development. But you got a nasty environment right here, and that's why if you look at this, it says possible hazard type none. It's because that is a massive cap in place. But this is around late morning to around midday. You keep this going here in time. At the same time, you got the CAPE that continues to build into this region, mixed layer CAPE, and then eventually the cap will break, and then you click a sounding for later this afternoon, and the cap breaks. You don't see that area of warmer air where the temperature rises in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and you got temperatures starting to rise. Dew points are still about the same, and you have an environment starting to get supportive of severe weather. But there's going to be a lot of energy out here this afternoon and this evening for these storms to really tap into, especially when that cap breaks. So that's pretty much it for that. Please be careful. Tomorrow will be, I think, a bigger deal, but today will be its own big deal also. Across the entire eastern central U.S., the rest of the country, pretty quiet. About the only thing to talk about, honestly, is you could get some inland firing showers and storms in South Carolina and North Carolina, where basically you get the sea breeze that pops through, can fire up some showers and storms, but I don't think there'll be a big deal at all here in South Carolina. Same kind of deal in Florida. You know, you're going to get showers and storms like you always do, even when they're not really calling for it. Deep south, some pop-up showers and storms. Other than that, maybe a wave of some showers moving through northern Michigan, but, you know, just not really a big deal. You know, that's the bigger deal today that fires up later on. Temperatures, a beautiful day. It really is. 90s, very warm. Weather starting to creep back in. You're starting to get that moist flow that's going to dominate the pattern again in the southeast, so probably the dew points will start to rise in this area. But, I mean, look at the northeast, the mid-Atlantic, 70s, 80s for highs. Beautiful day. Expected the Ohio Valley starting to warm back up. Beautiful all the way up into northern Michigan, Wisconsin. But then you start to get into an unstable environment with more storms here in the north central U.S. But, you know, Texas has been roasting for a while. You guys are climbing well into the 90s, a couple hundreds. But just nice weather in the deep south. 80s, 90s, 70s. Nice Sunday for sure. Out west, the pattern is pretty active as you have a trough that we talked about in the beginning of the video draped over the area. So you got a lot of energy, a lot of impulses of shortwave low pressures basically that's moving through. And then, you know, this afternoon, here it comes. Here comes that one piece of energy. And it really gears up and fires the storms right here. But you're going to have a lot of showers and storms in areas of Montana, even some higher elevation snow. The snow levels will drop in response to this trough moving through. Some of the Yellowstone National Park, some of the higher elevations could see some snow. Heck, even Colorado, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, higher elevation snow, lower elevation rain, and some showers and things like that for Washington, especially, and then Oregon for especially eastern areas of the state. So this will continue to be active as another piece of energy will shoot across. But in general, due to the fact you have that troughing well below average temperatures across areas of western Montana, Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, Nevada, even Northern California, Utah, Wyoming. About the only areas that's saved from well below average temperatures is, even down here in the Southwest, it's a little bit below average, but a little bit below average this time of the year for these areas. It's still pretty warm. So that's pretty much all I got, guys. We'll continue to try to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow, but I can tell you, I do think if it's going to be a day 2 moderate risk issued maybe a little bit later today. If not a little bit later today, probably sometime tomorrow. But you already have a 10% region hatched of significant tornadoes, EF2 or higher, in this yellow area tomorrow for areas of Minnesota, South Dakota, and North Dakota. So go on and just be ready. And then you got hatched regions of hail and wind too. So I think tomorrow it could trend into a moderate risk. It's already borderline moderate risk right now if you look at all the outlooks right here. So that's all I got, guys. We'll talk about this later tomorrow. It's just in general, the severe weather begins to trend a little bit further north in time. But I can tell you, if you keep going here in time, you already got a day 3 moderate risk as this trough continues to pull east. So more significant weather probably for a more heavily populated area. Watch out Kansas City, areas of Missouri and Kansas and Oklahoma as we get into our Tuesday. And then the pattern continues, a pretty active pattern setting up all the way through about midweek. So God bless everybody. Y'all have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.